Hey, welcome back, everyday care people and knife nerds. It's your boy, the Big Canucker, and today I've got something that has been on my wish list for a long, long time. Now, I do apologize, haven't got my office back yet, so I'm still doing some videos down here in my bedroom just to try to get you guys some content. I apologize that I haven't been as many videos as I'd like to do, but eventually, hopefully, that'll take care of itself soon. I'll have my house back to myself and I'll be able to get some stuff happening. All right. So, what I want to talk about here today is a knife that I have been wanting to get for an awfully long time. It is ta-da, the Spyderco Manix 2. Now, I have the XL, which is one of my very first Spydercos. I think it was my third one. I think I got the Tenacious, I got the the Resilience, and then I think I got the Manix XL because it had the good steel, the S30V steel in it. It was a nice, big, chunky, beefy knife. As you know, hey, these ham hawks here want to have a nice big knife, and it was something that was a lot less expensive than, say, like the Paramilitary 2. It was, I think, close to almost $100 here in Canada less, and to me, that was a whole lot of knife. Now, so what I ended up doing is I picked up a pre-owned one, a used one. So this one here has got, and the astute viewers out there will know that these are not the original scales that come with it. The original scales that come with the Manix 2 are actually a G10, a black G10. And this one here happens to have Flytanium scales with a Flytanium deep carry clip. So now I did carry this knife with the original scales on it, and you know what? It was nice and light. It was really really comfortable. You know, it disappears in the pocket. Now, when you put these Flytanium scales on here, it adds a little bit of heft to them. Now, just to say here, just by itself, they're 4.9 ounces. Now you add these scales on here, and you're talking well over 6 ounces, and seems to be right around 5.5 ounce is where it starts to be a little bit too much for, say, like sweatpants or a pair of shorts or something like that. If I'm in jeans, hey, this all day long doesn't bother me whatsoever. But when I start to get into, like, say, a pair of sweatpants or something, I always like to carry a knife even if I'm in sweatpants because you just never know. Um, that's where this Flytanium scales start to get a little bit too heavy. It's a nice beefy knife. Don't get me wrong. It feels really, really good in the hands. I love that smooth. And you'll notice here that we're actually missing a screw. All right. Now, I actually ended up picking this knife up out of Saskatchewan. Actually, is a fella who is another knife nerd, and I do believe he said he's going to subscribe. So, Justin, thank you so much for this. This is a wonderful. I'm glad that you decided to sell this, and because it's been a knife that I've wanted to carry for an awfully long time. And so far, really, really like this knife. Now, let's just go over some technical aspects, and then we'll go over what I think of this now, bugger. All right. So, overall length is 8.03 inches long, so just a smidge over 8 inches. Closed length is 4.66 inches. All right, you can see there. So she's got, it's not like a gigantic knife. Let's go here with blade length is blade thickness is 3 millimeters or 0.115 inches, and now the blade length is 3.37 inches, so just a smidge under that 3.5. Still a great EDC size. Even though it's smaller than 3.5, I have not noticed anything that I don't need to have any really longer knife than that. This is so far done really, really well. Edge length is 2.28 inches, 2.88 inches, and you'll see here that I actually did a sharpening choil, and I put a really good edge on this here, a mirror polished edge, because I love carrying knives that have got hair whittling edges. That's just kind of my thing, and I like the fact that I can put a sharpening choil in there because these Spydercos with the ricasso here, this edge here, it just seems to get, I don't know, it's almost like you can't get it sharpened right to the edge, then you get a little bit of a thing left behind, and then it starts to recurve. I mean, I guess if you're sharpening your knives all the time, but I just think that sharpening trail looks good, and it also prevents your knife blade from recurving. All right. So handle is normally G10, but right now I've got the Flytanium scales on there. It has now the ball bearing lock. Now this ball bearing lock here. Now if you picture here, inside there's a little indentation that this little caged ball bearing here will actually, if you pull it back this way, this is going to drop out, and there's a little indentation. So when you open up the knife here, so let's just try it. We'll pull it back here, and you see she's drop shut. All right. So now, as you open this up, as you can see the thing start to move. See that little handle start to move, or the cage, and then you'll see once the ball bearing gets in its slot. So now just went straight forward that way, and we'll watch it again here. Ready? So watch that cage there. You can see it move a little bit, and then it'll pop forward. Boop. So there you go. So that's actually, the ball bearing lock. So it's just so the blade has got a indentation like this, and it's rounded. So as this is say this the tip of my finger is the ball bearing. So as it's turning, then this goes in forward like that with that little spring and that little cage. And so then you pull it back, and then it allows your blade to go free again. So that's how that kind of works. All right. So with the G10 on it, you've got ambidextrous tip up carry only. You don't have the 4-way position clip. You've just got the tip up. That's it. On the Flytanium scales too as well, you've got the tip up as well. Let's just see here. Now she is a fully flat ground blade, and this is made in Golden, Colorado earth. So it is an American knife. And the fit and finish on this knife, I mean, I can't tell because it is a few years old. But when I put it together, this I'm not sure if you can see here, but this Flytanium, the blade centering was perfect. I didn't have to adjust or anything like that. I put it together, and for any of you guys have taken apart a ball bearing lock knife here, it's a pain in the butt to service this because that spring just wants to fly all over the place, and that ball bearing falls out. And it was frustrating as hell. I watched a few videos on how to do it, and I might do a video on this because I've got a little bit of a secret that once I got a little tiny piece of painter's tape, it made putting this back together an absolute breeze. So that's what I would do. I'll do a video here once I want to either put the G10 scales back on, which I don't think, because I'm really, really digging these Flytanium scales. I really love the feel. I'm just such a sucker, a tactile guy. I'm such a sucker for things that are really, really nice and smooth, and that's how this knife is. Now, okay, so now we've gone through all the technical aspects of this knife. Now let's just have a look here. So you've got quite a bit of jimping here on the back of your knife, and I'm not sure if this knife, because it's really, really old, but this jimping here along the spine, it's not really that sharp. It doesn't dig into your hands. It's got a little bit of a rounded off, but then when you hit the jimping on the back of the blade here, you can see that it will grip your thumb really, really well. So if you've got some gloves on, or even without the gloves, when you got jimping that's really, really close together like that, it doesn't seem like it tears apart your fingers. It doesn't hurt, because sometimes jimping can really hurt if you go to bear down on a knife. Now you've also got some jimping here on the bottom of the knife, and you've got this 50-50 choil here. So it allows you to kind of choke up on this knife if you need to be. And even though it is a 3.36-inch blade, sometimes you do want to choke up on a blade to get some fine work done. Now, I've got some big like XL type hands, so this here fits me really, really well. But when you start to mess it, a lot of times when you've got areas like this for your fingers, if your hand is built differently than mine, it may not be as 100% comfortable as mine. So if you've got hands that are, say, even larger or even smaller than mine, that's something you might want to maybe put this knife in your hand before you actually use it. You've got some jimping here along the bottom too as well. So yeah, like I said, so sometimes somebody may grab this knife and their finger fits, hits right on this ridge here instead of right, down deep in this little bit of a valley, and then it becomes uncomfortable, or they hit up here or something like that. So that's one of the pitfalls of having a knife that's designed kind of so ergonomically to fit your hand. If your hand doesn't fit within that specified range, you may find this a little bit uncomfortable. But for me, it is very uncomfortable. I think the ergos are really, really nice, especially considering that I can choke up on there too as well. Now, it's not all roses either, though. Um, the one thing here that I thought, now I with my knives, I usually do lots of cardboard cutting and breaking down cardboard boxes. That's the majority of my knife uses. There I get some bushcrafting. I do some stuff out there too as well in the bush. But this particular knife didn't seem like it went through cardboard as well as say my paramilitary 2 or even my Manix 2 XL. Especially some of the newer ones that I've gotten just in a little bit. Marcin Sleece, my new Marcin Sleece knife, the cut, I want to call it the cut jack. Ugh. The new Marcin Sleece knife, that one is like an absolute hollow ground lightsaber. But I think the edge, this is a little bit thick behind the edge. It's got like a mirror polished razor sharp edge, but I've just noticed a little bit too much resistance. And even though it's a 3 millimeter wide blade, I don't think it tapers down to behind that edge as thin as it could. Now, I don't think it's not going to bother me enough that I'm going to take this and try to get that a little bit thinner behind the edge. I think what I might end up doing is, because right now I've got a really nice kind of V grind on here, just like this. I think what I might end up doing is put kind of a convex edge on here. That's what I might do to try to get that a little bit more, to go through things a little bit easier. So, well, we'll try the convex edge on here a little bit. Now, she's not a super, super, super duper expensive knife. And it's a pre-owned knife in pretty good shape. Really, really like this. Now, part of the reason I think this thing is running so smooth with like the drop shut attitude is it's running on 2 bronze phosphor washers, but it's also got, if you look inside the pivot here, it's got the little tiny pivot, and then it's got a collar wrapped around it. So it drops shut like that. Now, I wasn't aware that this knife had that, but I know that my Manix 2 XL does not have that. But this one does. So the pivot is extremely smooth. It's extremely fun to play around with. Now, you'll notice here on something that's newer, this ball bearing lock is very reminiscent of the Access lock. You pull back and you drop it. It's very, very similar. The Access lock on Benchmade has got what's called an Omega spring. That's like that. Where this one's just got, you could even take a pen spring. If this spring happened to break, you can use a pen spring in here. And some people have done that because these things out of the box sometimes can be notorious for having that lock be very, very stiff. Now, you still get the drop shut attitude right out of the box, but pulling this thing back is sometimes can be a little bit of a pain in the butt, especially when they're brand new. Now, a couple of ways to get past that is to just open the knife continuously to break it in. The other thing is to take it and put tension on it. Leave your knife, when you put it away, rather than close it all the way and put it inside the box, every night leave it open half like this, and that puts tension on that spring, and hopefully you can kind of loosen that up too as a little bit. All right, so unfortunately though, most of it is just going to be time, because I do notice that this knife here being, I don't know, not sure exactly how old this is, but she may be probably 3, 4, 5 years old, and it's nicely broken in. All right, so thanks so much, you guys. Now, let's just see here. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this knife probably a 7.5. It's going to lose a little bit weight because of the Flytanium scales make it a little bit porky, and the fact that this ball bearing lock can be so stiff right out of the bed, out of the box, and the fact that the edge geometry, I think she's just a little bit too thick behind the edge, and it doesn't lightsaber cut like I'm accustomed to all my other Spydercos. But hey, perfect size. Now I'm going to do some comparisons with this knife against, say, the Paramilitary 2, even the Spyderco Manix XL2 as well. I'll do some comparisons because this gets right in that whole kind of everyday carry wheelhouse. All right, thanks so much, you guys, for stopping by. Now, please, if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe. Now we've surpassed 400 subs, and hey, I got to say thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Now, the big thing is I want to hit 1,000 because I want to start being able to go live. So I'd appreciate you guys subscribing if you listen to this. And if you have any friends or buddies who are interested in knife, please help me spread my voice with their subscriptions too as well, guys. So keep your shiny side up, keep your stick on the ice. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.